is no Jeffrey Epstein client list. That's according to a Justice Department memo released earlier this week. This is a letdown for people who have been eager for answers since Epstein's death back in 2019, and especially since President Donald Trump won the 2024 election. Well, WATE 6 on your side legal analyst Greg Isaacs joins me now to explain how all this relates to the laws on what the public can and cannot see. Greg, it's good to have you here.
Lord, it's good to be here.
You know, Attorney General Pam Bondi said the records were on her desk. Now they don't exist. Does she have to explain, and what does she have to hand over?
The myth that is Jeffrey Epstein and the client list and file continues to grow. It's kind of like a unicorn. You know, you hear about the ultra rich on his plane jetting off to do salacious, unlawful things. We thought we were going to get answers. The Attorney General of the United States said the client list is on my desk. It was going to be a priority in this administration, and lo and behold, it doesn't exist. So, Lori, sometimes when government records are released, it creates more questions and issues than answers.
Sometimes they're heavily redacted. And here's something that a lot of people may know. John Q. Public can make a request through the Freedom of Information Act for federal documents, correct?
Correct. Two ways to get records. One is for federal agencies, federal records. You could file a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request. It's typically done online. The agency has 20 days to respond, and they are required to respond. They get 10 additional days if there is, quote, unusual circumstances or there's a voluminous request.
And these are not free.
These are not free. You have to pay. But the only thing when you make a FOIA request, and you can make it for the FBI, you can make it for the Department of Justice, you can make it for the EPA, because you're entitled to the records. You don't have to make a showing on why you want them. Just reasonably describe what the information is you request.
Let's quickly talk about state law, and can anybody just arbitrarily say, hey, I want to know about the cell phone records of my government official?
If it's paid for by the government, in the custody of the government, you have a right to know. The Tennessee Public Records Act was enacted before the Freedom of Information Act in 1957, and you have a right to inspect state and local offices, governmental offices' records. They have to comply within 7 days. So a very powerful law. But if you want to know tax records, you want to know what your neighbors are paying for this, you want to know how much Knox County has spent on a certain zip code, you have the right, and government has to provide those records.
And quickly, there's things that you can't find out with good reason.
For all the transparency, there are a lot of very well-reasoned exceptions. For example, the Public Records Act has 700 exceptions to information that's not discoverable. But for example, some of it makes perfect sense. Confidential informants, national security, or plans for schools, schematic drawings. So, but by and large, view from Google Earth. If you want to take a look, file your request.
All right, Greg, thank you. And if you have a legal question, send it to AskIsaacs@WATE.com. And remember, I talk with Greg every Wednesday at 5:30 right here on Channel 6. And for a deeper conversation, you can watch right now on WATE 6+. We're talking about this for 30 minutes.